Shalom. All praises to the Heavenly Father, Apukuya. Praise be to the earthly mother, the Pachamama, and all of her earthly angels, their Kadeshwe. Praise be to the Holy Spirit, the Kahe. In the name of Hamashiach, Motsah the Lamb, unification to the nation. So, I know you guys see the thumbnail. This is one of those videos. Now, I did tell you guys that I'm not holding back anymore. I'm not sparing any feelings. And plus, this isn't even to create division. In fact, this is to create unity. To create unity and humility. Now, we've been awakened. We are searching for the truth, and we've been lied to about a lot of things. Now, I understand that we're going to get things wrong, and this is why I'm doing this video. It is not to berate anyone. It is not to make anyone feel worse or anything like that. No, this is to gain more understanding. Because when we first woke up, we had a lot of assumptions. We were making a lot of assumptions, but the reason that we were making these assumptions is because we knew that there was something wrong with the narrative that we were told. We knew that there was something wrong with it. We just couldn't put our fingers on it. Like, we couldn't prove that we were the people necessarily, but we just knew. We couldn't prove, quote unquote, archaeologically or DNA, whatever they use. We couldn't prove it by those means. We just felt it. Now, I'm going to tell you something. There's something that I'm feeling that I think I need to speak about. And, I've been kind of holding off on this because I didn't really know how to present this without, hurting anyone's feelings. But we must get to the truth. If I'm going to tell the truth about so-called white people, I need to tell the truth about so-called black people. So, let's go over some things, man. Let me turn up the mic real quick. Oh, it's all the way up. Well, I hope you guys can hear me. So, let's see. So, one thing I noticed when I'm looking through all the different peoples who actually truly come from Shem, they all have a similar look to them, right? These are people from Ethiopia, and from my studies, these are absolutely are people who descend from Shem. I think both of these people probably descend from Abraham, because the Midianites were around this area, the Benjamites were in this area, and the tribe of Judah was in this area, right? So that's definitely a big hint as to the fact that these people come from Shem. And when the Most High revealed to me where Midian was, and I saw how those people looked, it really made me ask some questions. And I've been praying about this. I've been asking him. So here you're going to get my truth, my perspective, my opinion, based on what I think the Most High is telling me. Because people have been saying this for a long time. My brother Dean, he's been saying this, what I'm about to tell you, about how the Israelites actually looked. He's been actually saying this for a while, but it didn't really click with me. But now I know why he was saying it. Because he knew that these people were Shemites. You see, the narrative that they try to push is that these people are Hamites. No, they're not. Whoops. So these are more people from Ethiopia. This is how they look. Now, you're going to notice something that is a common theme among how they look. I'll say it once we get deeper. This is not about skin color. This is about something else. It's not about hair texture. It's not about skin color. It's about something else. Because the Israelites whatever Israelites were over there, Um, in part at least, these were a very dark-skinned people, or a moderately dark-skinned people, right? So this isn't about skin color. Some of which are depicting afros, some of which aren't, but they were among the same group of people, right? Let's continue. These are East Africans or Ethiopians. Now, this is where we hit a snag because the one on the right is from Ethiopia. The one on the left is from Sub-Saharan Africa. Actually, I think this is more Central Africa, northern Central Africa. But this is still someone who would be considered of that same family. What is the difference? Now, with these other peoples, you could tell, one, their faces and heads are a little bit longer. A little bit longer. However, this young sister right here, her face is a bit more compacted. Right? That's the difference. See their nose bridges are very high. They have prominent nose bridges. Right? Okay. Now, these are people from Central America. Now, I've been saying this, but I don't understand how people say, the Mayans were quote unquote black. Yes, they were melanated. Yes, some of the Mayans you would even call, you would even say are similar to quote unquote black Americans. But did the Mayans look like the person on the left right here? No, they didn't. They even show you from their own depictions. They say, oh, the Mayans were depicting themselves as black people. All right, well, what type of noses did the Mayans have? Because they also seem to always depict that. I don't see many quote-unquote black people with that nose. The nose will tell you many things. The nose will tell you many things, bro. These people still live in this land, and I'm not saying that they can't look like anything else. Of course they can. This was a global empire that the Mayans had. But this is how they depicted themselves. Right? I'm just gonna tell you the truth. You can like it, you cannot like it, whatever, I don't care. But let's keep going. Now these are actual quote unquote black natives. Not people who are claiming to be natives, but these are actual quote unquote black natives. What is the difference? Look at their face structure. It's not about your skin color, because they said, oh, these were a copper colored people. Yes, I get that. But what did they also say? They also said that they had alkaline noses. If you pay attention, they said that they have alkaline noses. They only said certain places, like Panama, had real negroid features. But everywhere else, they said that these were pretty much black people with Asian features. That's what they said. So, when you're talking about being quote unquote black or being a black native, what are you talking about? So you have all these people. You have the people of Ethiopia, right? How they look. You have the quote unquote black Aborigines. How do they look? Let's keep going. On the left, that is a quote unquote black Aborigine, a Central American. On the left, this is a Congolese person, a Congolese brother, because all these people are my family. We all come from Yatsequad and Kawa. So it is nothing but love, and I believe these people are from Shem, actually. The people from the Congo. First of all, let me just say this. I think that a great amount of those people actually come from now pay attention to this word that I'm going to say, the seed of Jacob. These people are from the seed of Jacob, but particularly they're from the seed of Joseph. Pay attention to what I just said. I'm not saying that they're maternally from Israel. I'm saying they're paternally from Israel. Right? Okay. But you can see the difference. What's the difference? Tell me the difference. These are both quote unquote black people. Well, not according to some Afrocentrists. They'll say, well, she's mixed and whatever, right? Okay, cool. But these are both Negroes, quote unquote. But one is a Negro and the other is a Negroid. It's two different things. You have to pay attention to the wording that they're using because the words didn't always mean the same thing. I'm going to show you what they would consider a quote unquote Negro later on in these slides. They'd consider both of these people Negroes back in the 15th century. They would consider both of these people Negroes. So let's continue. These are East Indians. These would always, and maybe the girl on the left is a Trinidadian, I don't know, but these are both East Indians. These are also people who come from Shem. Particularly, they're from southern India, I believe. And if not, then the girls on the left is from Trinidad, but those people also descend from southern Indians or Tamilians. What do they also have in common with the Ethiopians and the black Native Americans? What do they all, and the Central Americans? They all have the same alkaline nose. Now, it's not like a Caucasian. It's not like a European. But it's not it's not like this. It's not like the brother on the right. It's not like that. But why? Let's continue. Again, guys, this is all my opinion. It's all my opinion. If you're vibing with it, you're vibing with it. If you're not, it is not for you. It is what it is. But let's continue. These are quote unquote black Americans. These are black people from the Americas. Please tell me, do these two women, do they look like this brother on the right? Not to me, they don't. They don't to me. So these are also another Shemitic group of people. These all three of these sisters are black, quote unquote, Americans. Right? That's where they come from. Now, there are people in Africa who look like this. This is why I said we are in that continent in a major way. A major way. I'm not denying that. But if we're going to get to how did we look like, that's a totally different discussion. Because we don't necessarily look how we looked like before. Not all over the world. The majority of the original look is actually right here in the Americas. How we look in the Americas is how we looked before. Generally. But when you start getting into other places, no, those are mixtures, bro. I'm going to keep it a buck. And people got to stop crying and stop being sensitive. It is what it is. These are the Gogadala. I've went over them before. Do they have big, wide noses? Not at all. They have prominent brow ridges and high nose bridges. But they're black. Right? They're not African. So it's like all these places that did not experience some sort of African quote-unquote admixture all have the same nasal features. Right? The girl on the right is a Polynesian. The girl on the left is a Puerto Rican. Now, I'm just seeing a common theme. And it made me question, did everyone else get whitewashed? Or did black people get Africanized? Did the Israelites get Africanized? Because that makes a hell of a lot more sense than the whole world getting whitewashed. And most of the world actually did get whitewashed, don't get me wrong. But everybody, it didn't make sense to me that the Native Americans, they're from the Northern Kingdom and they look like that because they mix with the Assyrians. And I'm like, wait a minute. they all mix with the Assyrians, that doesn't make any sense. That makes zero sense. There's something wrong with that. And when you really look, the Assyrians, they didn't look how they're trying to depict them. What we think of the Assyrians were actually the Chaldeans. So, who are the Assyrians? When you really dig deep, you realize that the Assyrians were actually kind of black looking, kind of Negro looking. And then it made me think, wait a minute. Do we have it opposite? Is Ephraim actually in Africa rather than the Americas? And the Americas, or the look of the Americas, is the original look. And Ephraim was mixing with the Phoenicians and the Canaanites and the Moabites. Is that what happened? Now that makes a hell of a lot more sense. But that takes humility. This is a statue of Puerto Rico. These are the Taino Indians. Not all the Taino Indians were super light-skinned, but this is their face structure. Right? That's how they look. Excuse me. Okay. Now, you have two people here. The woman on the left is a Negro. The man on the right is Negroid. There's a difference, bro. There is a big difference. The difference, it comes with the skull structure. Negroid people, their faces are kind of smushed together, and kind of wide, kind of broad, and kind of flat. But Negroes can be almost any damn body. She would be classified as a Negro. In the 15th century, she would be classified as a Negro. These two would be classified as a Negro. They would be classified as Negroes. These sisters would be classified as Negroes. Do you get it? These would be Negroes. All these people would be Negroes, including him. So, Negro does not mean this. Negro can mean anything. But they would actually consider this woman on the left to actually be Australoidic or Caucasoid, according to their classification. I'm only going by their classifications. If you don't like their classifications, then stop using them. Right? But there's some truth to it, because there's a certain look that similar people and related people are going to have. And if you're talking about a Shemitic look, let's get to the bottom of it. Let's actually do some research. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's try to find where the Shemites are. Let's see how they look. And try to come with a conclusion. Well, how did they look then? And if we don't look like that, are we the ones who are mixed? That makes a hell of a lot more sense. Now we're about to get into the Olmec. Because this is a woman from Mexico, and this is an Olmec statue. Right? You can see that they look identical, right? That's because I'm not going to spoil who the Olmec are, but this is not only how the Olmec look. It could have been a way darker version of her. I don't know. Could have looked like this, or could look like Shaq. But one thing I did notice is that the Olmec look first of all, they kind of look Asian according to all the statues, right? That they do have. Even this statue, the people say that's African. Yeah, but what is African? What is Asian? A brother, he asked me. He was like, "Well, I thought that the Moabites were Asians." And I'm just like, well, they kind of are. Because what's an African? What's an Asian? The people of Asia are Africans. The people of Asia are from Africa. They're related to the peoples, right? So, who's Moab then? God just showed you, yeah, like, you know, these people, they obviously have some sort of lineage that goes back to the Olmec. Do they look like how the Olmec look? I doubt it. From everything that it shows about the Olmec, it seems like these were black people. But there's been mixing, obviously. This boy on the right, he actually has Down syndrome. See, when they're thinking about Moab, they're only thinking about, well, the end product or an end mixture. It seems like these groups of people mix in with another group of people to make the Asians. Maybe that's the case, maybe it's not. Or maybe they both come from the same stock, the same family. Maybe they're both Canaanites. But we have to ask some questions, because how the hell is Abraham going to be quote unquote black? Lot is going to be black. But Moab and Ammon are going to be Asian? Modern day Asian? That doesn't make any sense. Especially when the Midianites, now that we know where Midian is, we know who they are. And if you don't, let me show you real quick. Actually, no, because I can't exit out this, but I'll show you after the slideshow. The Midianites were next to the Cushites. And the Moabites were not that far away from the Midianites. The Moabites they went to the east. Not as far east as Midian, but east of Canaan. And if Canaan is on the west coast of the Americas, then Moab can be anywhere east of that. And if Midian is near the Horn of Africa, then Moab must be west of that. So Moab can be anywhere from sub-Saharan Africa all the way to Brazil up to the Great Plains. But I'm asking that we actually try to identify where they are. But hear what I just said. Anywhere west of East Africa, going all the way to the west coast of North and South America. That region, right? I just said that. We're going to review that again. So this is the thumbnail. I know I pissed off people, but it's okay. But this is really true. If the Israelites if you had to choose between which one the Israelites originally looked like, is not the sister on the left. It's not. I'm just going to be real with you. It's not. She resembles this boy right here. And we're going to get into what are the features of Down syndrome? Because if you're looking at Down syndrome and you're looking at a white child and you have to pick someone, of course you're going to pick a little Asian boy to fit your description of Moab. But if you pick a black Down syndrome child, what are you going to get? Again, this is not to be disrespectful, because some of our people look like this. And I love them the same. I love Moab. It's not about that. But we got to identify who's who, right? If you can't stand the heat, get out the kitchen. See, this is a big difference, bro. They're both quote unquote black, right? They even have knotty hair, but you could tell the difference with their face structures. It's a big difference. One has a lot of facial development and the other doesn't. It's that simple. Let's continue. Again, one has a longer face, the other has a smaller, flat face. Why? Same look, bro. Same look. Same look. And again, some of our people look like this. I'm not saying that these cannot be Israelites, but I am saying this is not necessarily how we originally looked. Did we look like this from a very long time ago? Yes, because it does say that we mixed in with the Egyptians. And I just spoiled it. Damn. I spoiled their identity. We're going to get into it, though. I'm just going to roll through the rest of these. See, they're both black, right? They're both quote-unquote black. But what is the difference between the Brazilian and the Congolese? What's the difference? This person is not mixed with a white person on the left. This is how the Brazilians look. This is how their face structure looks. That's why I was questioning. I'm like, bro, there's something that's not right here. There's something that's very weird. It says that the people of the west coast of Europe, they were not Congolese in their phenotype. They look more like this. The ancient black Europeans look more like this than like this. The more recent black Europeans look like this. Did we mix in with them? Yes, we did. But did we look like that before? I don't think so. Just rolling through them. Now, these are the Midianites, the people, the Maasai people, and these could be the Moabites, or at least they look like the Moabites, how they would look. You can tell the difference. You can tell, and the Moabites actually mixed in with the Midianites, as it says in a few different books. I've brought them out before. But the Moabites and the Midianites actually intermarried. Again, they're not that far away from each other. That's why I said if the Midianites are in East Africa, where are the Moabites? Tell me, where are the Moabites? Look, these are descendants from Abraham on the left. Right? That's who they are. She could be too on the right. I don't know, but that's not how Abraham looked. I'm just keeping it 100. Again, the woman on the right, she is from the Congo. The woman on the left is from Ethiopia. There are beautiful women in the Congo. I'm just showing you that this is more of an exaggeration to show you the difference. These are the ancient Moabites or the Moors. Right? That's how they look. That's how they looked. And some of us look like that because we intermixed with them and we were, mariners. We were seafarers. We were in part the Phoenicians. In part, but we joined with the Phoenicians. Right? On the left, that's a Mayan. On the right, that's a Moor. So now you've gotten my perspective. You can hate me. That's okay. That's fine. But you're at least just gonna get what I believe to be the truth. So to show you what I was talking about, and the children of Midian, the son of Abraham, went to the east of the land of Cush. Where's the land of Cush? Where's the land of where could that possibly be? Okay. And they there found a large valley in the eastern country. What's east of the Americas? And they remained there and built a city and dwelt therein. That is the land of Midian until this day. So I was watching this guy's channel, and I actually really respect his work. Now, a few months ago, he was saying that the Israelites were Indo-Europeans. Until he actually really looked into them, and he was like, okay, no, they're not Indo-Europeans. But they're not necessarily Congolese, Negroid people either. And we're going to get his perspective. And he's going to show you, and he's made videos about who actually were the captives in a lot of these kingdoms and societies. Who were the captives? Let's see. First, he's going to give you some history on the Olmec, right? Now, I have a video coming out, probably when I get a little better. I'm going to release this, and I'm going to show you who the Olmec are. And I pretty much already spoiled it, but yeah. Now, and I like his work because he actually, you know, he follows logic. He's not trying to prove a point. He's pretty much just trying to break down bad points, and I could respect that. So he says logically, if you try to give credence to something by forging evidence for it, you do it for your own benefit, not for the benefit of those whom you have abused and denigrated for centuries. And he made me realize something. A lot of those quote unquote black people that I showed you, those were the Phoenicians, bro. These were the Moabites. These people were not in bondage until very recently. I almost never see them enslaved by any damn body. Sometimes you see them fighting against the Canaanites, but other than that, they're usually the enslavers. So I'm wondering, wait, are these the Israelites, or are these the Moabites, or the Assyrians, or the Canaanites? I'm just asking real questions, bro. So far on this channel in the series History is a Lie, I have proven that a significant part of the so-called ancient Middle East history is fake. Some people in recent centuries have tried really hard to inject biblical characters and events into the unknown remains of the ancient Middle East in order to mold the history of the world in support of the Bible. Right, because the Bible did not happen in the Middle East. You know, it's so cool that people are waking up to this. But in future, we will see more of their fraudulent works disguised as ancient history. The invention of airplane facilitated international travel, and because of that, their people could travel around the world to investigate the claims of the Bible, and that would create problems for them. So they had to quickly create archaeological evidence for the Bible's narrative of history to make the book seem real. And it's not that the book is fake, it's the land that's fake. In the video, The So-Called Israelites, Negroid or Caucasoid, I shortly explained why I think the short, woolly-haired Negroid captives being carried away by the so-called Assyrian army in the so-called Lachis, I don't know, relief may actually be the so-called Phoenicians, not the Israelites. And also explained why, if anyone, only the Caucasoid captives would be the Israelites. Now, when he's using the term Caucasoid, he's being very narrow, because they also say that the Australoid phenotype, or the pretty much the phenotypes that I was showing you before regarding the Ethiopians and the Native Americans, they consider those as Caucasoid phenotypes. But in actuality, they're Australoid phenotypes. And the Australoid phenotype actually birthed the Caucasoid phenotype. But that's also why it doesn't make sense, because if Esau is our twin brother, why the hell, and if Jacob's supposedly Congolese looking, then why isn't Esau Congolese looking? And that's why people say, well, Esau is black, that Esau is a Congolese. No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not, bro. That's why it doesn't make any sense. See, when you actually examine the truth, then we get to things that make sense. Look, these are the Phoenicians, right? Now, were our people among the Phoenicians at some point? Yes. So are they going to look like them? Yes. Right? These could be the so-called Israelites. Now he said could, right? He did say could. But look at what they're wearing. they're actually wearing fringes. That's why I was just like, okay, he might have some credence to this. But their features are not necessarily Congolese. They have sharp features, right? They have woolly hair, but they have sharp features. These could be the Israelites that he's depicting. After that, I searched the web and found that I wasn't the only person who realized that. Many scholars have the same opinion. The Negroid captives in the so-called Laches relief are the so-called Phoenicians. Prisoners playing lyres. Now, this is a problem. See, what he's actually saying is a big problem for the people who are trying to keep us asleep. Do you know why? Because if you believe that the Israelites originally were Congolese, Negroid people, then you're never going to find the land. And if you try to combine the two and you try to say, well, the Israelites were Congolese looking, but they were Americans, then you go down a bunch of Olmec history. And then you find yourself trapped there. Instead of just admitting the fact that we just don't look like how we looked like before. That we look closer to, Pacific Island black people or natives or Latinos. That's actually more so how we looked. And that's how most of us kind of look today in the Americas anyway. But I'm really just talking about for people who are all Africa. No, bro. That's not how we looked. That's not how we look. Doesn't make any sense. All the Shemites, they don't look like that. But we look like that? Why? We married them. We married other Shemites. How did we start looking like that? All those groups I showed you, we married into those groups. Judah married an Elamite, right? A lot of people believe those to be the southern East Indians, right? So, something's not right here. It's not making sense. It's not adding up. We mixed in with Moab and Canaan and Ham and Cush. That's what happened. Everyone else did not get whitewashed to the point where none of them have any of their original phenotypes. That does not make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. The Assyrians ruled much of the Middle East, right? Well, they did, but from their capital, Nineveh, located on the east bank of Tigris River near Mosul in northern Iraq. This image depicts what are thought to be Phoenician or Palestinian prisoners playing lyres. More than a year ago, I made a video about why Negroid peoples of the Americas may be indigenous to the continent, and almost 6 months ago provided evidence as to why they are the descendants of the Egyptians. Now, again, I'm not going into detail about this. This is for another video. But I'm just telling you this right now. What you just said is very, very true. All these people talking about we were here first. Okay, I mean, you could be, you might be an Israelite, you might not be, because we were in Egypt trading. We were doing that from a very early time period. That is true, right? So technically, yeah, but not everyone here were Israelites, and just in the group that came later are not Israelites because they came later, right? The people of the east coast of North America seem to be the oldest inhabitants, but that does not mean that doesn't mean that everyone else are not supposed to be here. As you read in the book of Remembrance of the Brother of Jared, there was a trading class. There was the warrior class and the mariner class, or I think the warrior class and the building class. And both of those were enslaved. And the people who didn't have any faith, they didn't leave Egypt. They stayed in Egypt. Right? So if they stayed in Egypt, what are they going to look like? Egyptians. That's why I said something's not making sense. Here, I went to see if there could be a link made between the Egyptians and the Olmecs via the Phoenicians. Man, I really wish I found his channel earlier, because he's on the same trail that I was on like a month ago, where I was trying to connect, bro. Wakanda, you understand, bro. If you watching this, you understand that I was asking my brother about this. I was like, bro, if I could just connect the Olmec and the Egyptians, everything would make sense. Or the Olmec and the Canaanites, everything would make sense. Because the Olmec connect to the Jaredites, right? And I suspected that that the Jaredites were on the same lands as the lands of Canaan. So this is really cool, the fact that he's on the same trail. Since I'm not much familiar with the history of the Americas, I only made a hypothesis and leave the proof for further research. 1. The so-called ancient Egyptians were in haplogroup E1b1a. The ancient Phoenicians, the oldest Phoenicians, were this haplogroup. So yes, these people are among, like, the Israelites are among this migration pattern. But guess who else is among this migration pattern? The children of Lud, the children of Moab, the children of Canaan, as well as the Israelites. Right? So this is a pre-Egyptian or while Egypt was going on. That was the migration pattern. Right? The E migration pattern, that was of the Egyptians. The E1B1A is of the Phoenicians, the ancient Phoenicians. Right? And a lot of these people, they descend, from kings, right? They do. But this is not the only haplogroup of the Israelites. And this haplogroup is not exclusive to the Israelites. I hope you're following along. And I hope we're being humble. And yes, Ramesses III. That's why I said, wait a minute, something's not making sense. How was Ramesses III E1B1A? Are you following me? Two, the so-called Phoenicians were their eastern neighbors who had close relation with them. The oldest record of the Phoenicians comes from Egyptian sources, though initially vassals of Egypt during the Bronze Age. In the centuries following the late Bronze Age collapse, the Phoenicians usually maintained relatively amicable, relations with Egypt, though this varied by dynasty. Skipping down, the Phoenicians were also heavily influenced by Egyptian culture. They had similar cultures and phenotypes. The Phoenician alphabet was one of the first alphabets with strict and consistent form. It is assumed that it adopted its simplified linear characteristics characters. All right, let me slow down. Let me just read what he underlined, bro. It is likely that the precursor to the Phoenician alphabet was of Egyptian origin. Hold up. What did we go over, bro? This is what I said, man. Quote unquote Hebrew is a mixture of the language of Abraham and the Egyptian. The Bantu Hebrew is a mixture of the Egyptian language and the language of Abraham. So I know those people are Shemites. I know those people come from Shem in some sort of way, but they're not all the same They don't come from the same forefather. You know, not all of them come from Jacob. That's not true. They can all come from Shem, but they don't necessarily all come from Jacob. That's not necessarily true. Um, but it says, since Middle Bronze Age alphabets from the southern Levant resemble Egyptian hieroglyphs or an early alphabetic writing system found at that place in Central Egypt. So this is a Egyptian, right? You can tell phenotypically similar, pretty similar to a so-called so-called Negro. You can tell by the face being very compacted, right? Now this is a Phoenician. Again, this looks like a brother, bro. It does. It looks like him. It looks like one, I should say. The so-called Phoenicians are considered the greatest seafarers and traders of antiquity, which they were. Were we partly the Phoenicians? Again, yes. The Phoenicians were among the earliest and most influential shipbuilders and mariners. Naval historian Richard Woodman described them as the first true seafarers, founding the art of pilotage, cabotage, and navigation. So there you go. And all these people are all depicted the same way. These were Negroes, right? The Phoenicians, the Egyptians, right? And then and when I make the other video, we're gonna touch on, exactly what I'm talking about regarding the Israelites and how, they were trading with the Egyptians. The so-called Phoenicians and the so-called Olmec appear to have had the same phenotypes and costumes. Look at that. Now, doesn't this look like a Moor hat? This looks like a Moor hat. Unlike most nations depicted in Assyrian reliefs, most of the so-called Phoenicians don't seem to have a distinct headgear, but some do. And that's very interesting. Oh, I just meant to close it. Knowing that the majority of black people of the Americas are found in haplogroup E1B1A, that's not true, and they're the only population in the continent who resemble the Olmec and the Phoenicians, I think it's reasonable to hypothesize that they descend from the Olmecs, who may have originally derived from the so-called Egyptians and Phoenicians. Well, there's the thing. Where was Egypt? Where was Lower Egypt, at least? So, we got another one. This is a response to FOPE Hebrew Israelite brothers who have always expressed their opinions with respect. Before that, I have to mention that I have never called myself a historian. What I'm doing is refuting the accepted history, which is demonstrably a propaganda made for certain political purposes. In one of my first videos on this channel titled "The Ancient Middle East Was Black," which I've deleted because of the confusion and misunderstanding that it has caused, I explained by the word black I meant dark or pigmented. I'm tripping, bro. And also clarified that the ancient black Middle Easterns, in my opinion at the time, were not Bantu or Negroid or Khoisan types of black people. I stated that they, in my opinion at the time, were Ethiopioid. And The Middle East was not very populated. It was not very populated until David pretty much got there. Now, was it populated before then? Absolutely. But what he's referring to is actually the tribe of Judah. Why is their phenotype more Ethiopian looking? Well, who did they marry? They married Elamites, right? So there you go. There's your answer.
I don't mean the Bantu type of blacks or Khoisan type of blacks. They were an Ethiopian type of blacks.
Some are now using the same video to claim that I'm now contradicting myself, which would not be a problem because opinions tend to change as new information is gained. But that's not true because I did not say in the video that they were Negroid. Now, you have to watch a bit of the hijack because, there's a bit of a blanketing going on, and I don't go by necessarily racial phenotypes for everything. I do it for historical purposes, but you could be of any look and be an Israelite. You could be of any look and be any seed line. I wouldn't know. But this is mainly to show you how the group of people looked. Not how some of them could have looked. I'm talking about the majority of them. First of all, the Israelites, at some point when they were leaving Egypt, they were not all that dark skinned. They were not all that dark skinned. Why? Because why else would Miriam and Aaron be talking about that Ethiopian woman? Right? Talking about the Midianite that Moses had married, Zipporah. So, they didn't seem to be all that dark skinned. And they also were not, Congolese looking. So, anyway, let's keep going. After that, in 2 videos titled Black White is Not a Race, I explain exactly what I meant by the word black. In my worldview, anyone with high pigmentation, regardless of their anthropological category, whether Negroid, Caucasoid, or Mongoloid, is a black person. Which means I don't use the word black in the same context that people in the US do. They use it to specifically talk about the so-called Negroes, when I think he means Negroid. But yes, and I do, listen, I understand exactly what he's talking about. Like, I respect this guy's point of view because he actually tries to get to the truth. Not all black people are the same, bro. And you're taking a look that's familiar to you, but it might not be familiar to other Israelites. I'm just telling you the truth. There are 3 major or morphologically different types of humans known as Negroid, Caucasoid, and Mongoloid. That's not necessarily true. It's mainly, Negroid, Australoid. Actually, this stuff's all BS anyway. But Caucasoid would not be a branch type. That branched off from the Australoid phenotype. That's a very new phenotype. They're new people. So I don't know about that, but let's continue. All of which are dark in their normal color and are found within the sub-Saharan Africa, within sub-Saharan Africa. This is what they would consider as a Caucasoid phenotype. It's not, but okay. This was what they would consider as a Mongoloid phenotype. The Caucasoid type has 2 different branches. One is called Hamitic and is indigenous to East Africa around the Horn region. And you can see how those people look. Listen, these are not Hamites, bro. These are not Hamites. That doesn't make any sense. And I thought about it. I was like, bro, this isn't really making any sense. The other branch is called Dravidian and is indigenous to southern India. Negroid is an anthropological term used to refer to people who have body structure and phenotype similar to that of so-called Negroes. Caucasoid is used for people who resemble Caucasians in phenotypes, but not necessarily skin color. For this very same reason, albino Negroes are still Negroid. even though they don't have pigmented black skin. Therefore, the word Caucasoid does not necessarily mean white. Mongoloid is a term to describe people with an East Asian phenotype. And if you were to classify me, you wouldn't be able to classify me in any of those phenotypes, because I have features from like 2 or 3 different phenotypes. So, and that's mainly a lot of us in the Americas. We have multiple different. We would fit in many different categories. That's why when they got here, they classified the American Indian as his own race. Because again, this is a group of people who were birthed out of a small group of people. So they have a very exotic look to them. Let's skip. Each of these general types has their own stereotypes. Negroid has the most diversity. Caucasoid has the least. Okay, that's all he was saying. What we call Caucasians, white people, Germanic, Slavs, Turco-Aryans, are people originally derived from Dravid blacks. Genetic studies indicate that these people have fixed mutations related to depigmentation, and that's why they are light-skinned. Chronological order of haplogroups and their frequency in different populations suggests that the subtype Ethiopid is the result of an admixture between Dravid and Negroid. So I'm not getting into all this. I just wanted to point out the fact that this is something that people are, like, actual people who want to look for the truth. This is the stuff that they find. You know, this person, he doesn't seem to be saying this because he's trying to push an agenda. Now, he does try to disprove annoying people, right? But he's not, it doesn't seem like he's pushing an agenda. So let's go. Let's keep going. Now, I was looking, at some, because I like going on Quora, because a lot of people share a lot of great information, right? Now, a lot of people, they're like, oh no, the Olmec were not Negroes, and they're saying whatever. But this person made a good point, because he's saying that the Ainu of Japan, that they have quote unquote European features or Caucasian features, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, they don't, because genetically they're not close to Caucasians at all. They're actually related to Australians or Pacific Islanders, and you can see how they look. You see how they look. This is not a Caucasian. These are not Caucasians. So it's not necessarily about look. It's not about your skin color, because you can see someone's skin color, you see their hair texture, you go, oh, that's a white guy. But if you really look at him, he doesn't look white. He actually looks like a Pacific Islander. You would even say maybe a Middle Eastern, but the Middle Easterns, they have lineage that goes back to the Pacific Islands. Because again, the lands of Shem are in that area. They went over there. And the people of the Pacific Islands came from South America. And he's showing some, these are also Olmec faces, by the way. This is why I said, man, the Olmec were not just one looking group of people. But it seems like, the highest class were the Negroid class, were the seafaring class. That's just what it seems like. But you can see people, like, a lot of us look like this, right? A lot of Mexicans look like this. You can see some of these people do look like these statues. But were they originally how the Mexicans look today? No, not really. But this is what I want to show you, because there's a lot of connection between Mexico and Egypt. This video is way too long, man. I might have to cut this video and just talk about this at another time. But let me go to the Moab connection. Because people, they think that Moab is the Chinese, and I understand why. But if the Shemites are quote unquote black, and the Moabites are next to the Midianites, as well as being next or close to the Israelites, I don't see where else they can be. Now you look at Asians and their lack of a nose bridge. Well, this is the before and this is after the surgery. And you can also see this, how a lot of black people, I see black people, they look like this. And people have noticed that black people have Asian features. But is it Asian features, or are these incestuous features? Let's look at Down syndrome features. A flattened face, especially the bridge of the nose, especially the bridge of the nose. Especially the bridge of the nose. That's why I said, bro, the Moabites, the Moabites were originally black. I don't know about today, whatever, but originally they were black. Almond-shaped eyes that slant up. Hold up, what? What did we just see? Now these don't necessarily slant upward, but some of the Olmec, their statues, they do slant upward. What did the Egyptians practice, by the way? A lot of incest, right? These are Down syndrome children. These are very, very cute children, honestly. You know, I showed that picture earlier. But you can tell that these faces look similar to the Olmec statues. So in this is what the Moabites, what Noble Jew Ali and his people, they believe. First of all, they believe that the African Americans, that they are descendants of the Moabites, the ancient Moabites. I wonder why. Some of them are. Some of them are. How many of them? I don't know. But he's pretty much saying that these people on the East Coast and these people of Sub-Saharan Africa, they both descend from the ancient Moabites and Canaanites who were in this land originally in Amexim, which is really Egypt. But of course they forgot to mention that the Israelites were also trading with them, because I guess they don't know, or they're trying to be hijacks. But yes, the Israelites were in this land for a very long time, but it just wasn't only them. I'm just making that clear. So I'm gonna leave this in the description. You guys can check this out. My voice is starting to hurt. Why was Ramses III DNA E1B1A when he was supposed to be a white man? And he wasn't supposed to be a white man. But look, check this out. Ramses III had a haplogroup from the region that the people of ancient Egypt or originated from. The original Egyptians came from the Nile Valley, the Sahara, and what is now Sudan, Ethiopia, and Somalia. The only people surprised that an African civilization had an African population are those who simply don't care. The E haplogroup is associated with pastoralism, agriculture, and spread of African languages. So you could tell that there is some sort of connection with the Israelites, but this is pre-Israel. This is during Egypt. This is one of the largest migrations in history that involved the entire continent of Africa and lasted over 10,000 years. The E haplogroup was also spread to littoral Europe and the Arabian Peninsula before Kemet or the Mesopotamian cultures existed. Well, the ones over there. And these are the places that they're located. So again, A lot of these people are pre-Israel. A lot of these people are Canaanites. A lot of these people are Moabites. They're all mixed up. But they're still my brothers, so I lend out a hand. I'll get it slapped 1,000 times for that one person who grabs it. It's all good. But you can see here that there's a lot of a connection. And now this connection is starting to make sense. Because this was Egypt. This was connected to here. This whole thing was connected. That's what the Moors will tell you. They tell you out of their own mouths. I'm leaving all these links in the description. Let's just read this and I'm in the video. The industrious acts of the Muslims of the Northwest and Southwest Africa. These are the Moabites. Northwest and Southwest Africa. These are the Moabites, the Hamathites, the Canaanites. And the Hamathites are probably the Jaredites, but the Canaanites who were driven out of the land of Canaan by Joshua, who they call the robber, and received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in that portion of Egypt. In later years, they formed themselves kingdoms. These kingdoms are called this day Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc. So, there you go, man. Oh my gosh, man. This was a hard one, but I'm gonna pretty much drop the live stream in about a few hours, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys learned something. It's about humility. Let's humble ourselves. Alright? And we're going to dig into more truth about this at another time. May peace be with you. Selah Kula.